I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. The next level of the Billionaire Code is operator. The income level is $1 to $3 million. There's only 700,000 in the United States, and this is one of the most significant transitions in the Billionaire Code. Because the fallback question in Builder, the level before, 300,000 to $1 million, is how do I get further ahead? The fallback question in Operator shifts to how does my team get me ahead? This is one of the most significant shifts we ever make as an entrepreneur. Now, can you get past $1 million without asking that question, how does my team get me ahead? Can you get past $1 million without building a team? Can you get past $1 million without having a team around you and growing an organization? You can, but you're going to hit a limit. You're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a barrier. Usually it's right around 3 million. Some companies, people who are really good at marketing, who have a really low drag product, might even get to 4 or 5 million. But if you try to get past operator without a team, you will always impose a limitation on yourself, because the transition from builder to operator, that question, how do I get further ahead, transforms to how does my team get me ahead? That is one of the most significant shifts we will go through as an entrepreneur. Now, it helps us build one team around us, that one solidified team. You know, when you look at an org chart, that old CEO org chart you see with the CEO at the top and everybody else underneath, like I have every client that I have create that org chart. You can listen to my podcast on org charts. There's a reason I have everyone create that. But at this beginning stage operator, you can almost draw a circle in the middle and put circles around the outside, because at operator, you really need that one solidified team around you, supporting you. And you have to go through a massive transition from delegating tasks, getting people to help you, to switching and asking them to do things that you do well, training them to do things that you do well. And that can make us as entrepreneurs feel completely vulnerable and awkward and challenged by it and exposed, and like we don't really want to do those things. And there's a reason why. It's interesting. I'm going to back up for a sec. So it's interesting these days when I talk to brand new entrepreneurs and I say, hey, I always ask, tell me, what are your goals this year? What's your revenue goal? And they always will say $1 million. And I'll say, whoa, well, in what time frame do you want to do that? And they'll say a year. 3% of businesses get to $1 million. If you've done it, you need to know you are among the elite. Only 4 out of 1,000 will get to 10 million. And the transition from builder, where it's still you driving most of the activity, and I really want to drill this home because this is reality. You can't argue the Billionaire Code. It's like fact, it's gravity, it's law. You must go through these stages if you want to continue to advance. And one of the most significant stages of advancement is when you realize in your career as an entrepreneur that you can no longer get as much done as you want without getting help. And the transition from builder to operator, how do I get further ahead, to how does my team get me ahead? It forces you to start asking for help and start to create the team that is going to grow the movement that is your business. Your biggest need as a operator is to build a team and scale consistent delivery, because at operator, you are constantly delegating your time. And here's the challenge. this new skill set of delegating your time, this new skill set of training people to do what you do well, this new skill set of determining what it is that you do well and how you should train people is incredibly difficult for entrepreneurs. I know, because this is exactly where I coach my private group, $1 million plus. And I help entrepreneurs build that solidified team around them, that support around them, because here's the reality about $1 million. You ask most entrepreneurs who are starting out, what are your goals? They'll say, I want to have $1 million business. The challenge is far too many entrepreneurs look at $1 million or 2 Comma Club or, getting to that destination as a finish line. I can tell you right now, Russell Brunson will tell you 2 commas is the start of something incredible. It's not a finish line. And when you get there, here's the challenge for most entrepreneurs, and why I work with so many $1 million businesses is that it's right around where everything feels broken. Right around $1 million, it's where everything feels, or where it feels like nothing is working, because you're literally going from doing most of the productivity yourself, most of the output yourself, to getting help from other people. And that is an entirely new muscle for entrepreneurs like us. And what will happen, and I don't want to wish ill on anyone, but I want you to know that when you're going through this, what will happen is sooner or later, you will have a recurring fantasy about going back to doing it all yourself. This business that you've built, this outcome you're creating, the team that you're trying to build around you will drive you to want to seek simplicity. It will create resistance against you. You will have to battle that resistance to push through, because you and I both know you are not going to quit. And your aspirations are not going to shrink. You're never going to become satisfied with just stopping and sitting around. I share with people, I tried to retire one time, and it was the longest 6 weeks of my life. It drove me crazy. I'm never going to stop. That's the reason I figured out the Billionaire Code, because I want to go all the way up it again and again and again. Because for people like us, when you get to the place where your momentum isn't enough, you have to start building a team. And this is the place where you have to start doing what you do already to grow your business, and you need to start keeping track of what everybody else is doing. You're now running the business and managing an increasingly important team that you will become more dependent on. And you'll build that first real solid team around you. And here's what's critical once you do, is that you have to start making things easier for you. Here's what far too many entrepreneurs do at this operator stage, is that they've worked, they built a business, they've used some contractors, they might have someone, an EA or a virtual assistant or a virtual assistant, not an EA, but a virtual assistant, someone somewhere that does some stuff for them. And then the business grows, and they go out and they'll hire a salesperson because they need somebody to help with sales. And then they'll go out and they'll hire someone to keep the books for them. And then they'll go out and they'll hire someone who's going to help with marketing. And they'll go out and hire someone who's going to fill another part of the increasingly growing business. But they never hire someone just to lower the pressure and noise for them. And so you have to start asking for help, letting your team know what's going on. Make things easier on your team by choosing a longer time horizon. Don't change things in the moment anymore. Immature businesses change things in the moment. The more mature a business is, the more a business is predictable, the more a business creates predictable profit, the more a business hits its numbers, the better it is to run that business as an entrepreneur. The more fun the team has, the more you learn how to win, the more you grow, the more that your business will actually be everything you've always wanted. And so around this stage is where you have to start with some delayed gratification and understanding that when you tell people what's going on, when you schedule meetings with your team with clear expectations, when everyone knows that they can win over and over again, when there's a structure to how you communicate with your team, your business will grow. But I want you to understand that your behaviors have to change. Because sometimes I'll have this conversation with an entrepreneur and I'll tell them, your behaviors are going to have to change. What you do is going to have to change. And they'll say, well, that's not why I got into being an entrepreneur in the first place. And I'll say, well, why did you do it? And sooner or later, it's about changing something or growing something or doing something that nobody had ever done before. And then I just ask a simple question. Did you really expect it to be easy? Because here's a fact. Again, this is like gravity. The difference between starting a business and scaling a business to long-term success is absolute. Your behavior has to change constantly as you build your business. Because here's what's required to start a business. You have to execute. So get what needs to get done. You literally do everything. You're the only person who's in the business. You drive the day to day. You sell to every customer. You work tirelessly. You execute your plan. You follow up on your to-do list. You sell yourself. You create value. You focus on survival, and you build a customer list. Now, to transition to long-term success, execution has to move to co-creation. Doing everything, you have to now specialize. You go from driving the day-to-day to managing the day-to-day. You go from selling every customer to creating a customer service strategy. You go from working tirelessly to creating a performance culture around you. You go from executing the plan to creating the strategy for the plan. You go from focusing on a to-do list to focusing on the future. You go from selling yourself to selling the vision of your company, from creating value to creating and supporting your company's core values, from focusing on survival to focusing on growth, profitability, and stability, and from building a customer list to building a management team. So the key is, at Builder, your behavior will change. And here is what happens in the companies that grow the fastest. Entrepreneurs start communicating within a system. Their team knows when they're going to hear from them. They know when to expect meetings. They know exactly what's expected. And the entire team knows that there's a routine and a cadence of communication that is expected. They know when they're going to get checked on. They know when they're going to talk to people. They know when things are expected from them so that they can spend all of their time succeeding, not figuring out what's going on in the business. And if you as an entrepreneur will commit to doing that, you will see your business explode. That's what it takes to graduate from Builder. From Operator. Because in the last level, Builder, 300,000 to $1 million, to graduate, you build systems and processes around what you do well. But in Operator, to graduate, you build a team and train them to do what you do well so that you can help more people. And when you build a team and train them to do what you do well, your entire business will shift. But here's what's key, is in order to do this well, you're going to have to start asking for help. You're going to have to start being transparent. You're going to have to start letting people know what's really going on. Stop the faking until you make it. Let your team know where you're coming from. When you're having a challenging day, let them know, because they're always going to assume it's them when you don't. And this level of transparency and exposure and vulnerability and feelings of sharing too much and not wanting to have everybody know what's going on are going to be difficult for you. And so the episode that I did yesterday is crucial. You must start taking care of yourself. Lower the pressure and noise for you. Because here's what you need to do as you go up the Billionaire Code. Not only do you completely change your focus and your behaviors at every single level, but you have to keep everything that you've built ongoing. You have to keep the routines that you got in Seeker, the avatar that you found in Starter, the lead generation and Promoter, the leverage sales and Builder, and now an Operator. You're now adding all of that complexity to additional human beings and building a team around you. So keep the world easy on yourself. Business provides entrepreneurs with a massive amount of pressure and noise. And if you look at the average entrepreneur today, they appear to be in a contest to see how much more pressure and noise they can accept. But I can tell you there's a direct correlation to the most successful clients I have and how transparent they are with their team, how real they are with their team, and how fast they ask for help the moment they are uncomfortable. So if you've achieved $1 million, or if you're getting close, or if you're in that builder phase of 300,000 to $1 million, you should talk to our company about how we can help you scale your team and build exactly the communication structure that I talked about on this podcast today. Because until you have a cadence that is predictable in your company, your team will always be waiting on communication from on high. Until your team knows what to expect and how to win, you will always feel frustrated with what they're producing, and you will have a really hard time understanding how to grow and scale your team. And when you do have a system with which you can grow your business that dramatically reduces the amount of time you have to spend in personality management, and you transition to process management, you get out of transactional management, asking people what to do, checking if it got done, and telling them what to do again, to shifting to transformational leadership, where we will show you how to give people clear outcomes, systematically and methodically coach success along the way using a minimum effective dose of your time and getting leverage results. You can have the company you've always wanted. Go to billionairecode.com, answer a few questions for us. Let us know in the comments that you want to get on a call with us, and we will make sure that we show you the solutions we have, because if you've grown a business to 300,000, we can help you get it to 7 figures. And if you've grown a business to $1 million plus, our Grow and Scale group can help you get it to 10.